Brothers and sisters, Brother Brimhall again, and welcome to the Dameron Valley Ward Temple and Family History Family Search videos. This is the third video in a series that we're going to do, and hopefully you've had a chance to see video number 1, which taught you how to log on and to find yourself, and then video number 2, which taught you how to log on and find an ancestor in your tree and learn about those. If you've done those two, then this video will make a little more sense. This video is all about trees. We kind of will title it Family Search, A Forest of Trees. And we're going to learn about the different types of trees and what you can see there and how you can navigate around them. So let me get to our normal place that we go. This is our portal, churchofjesuschrist.org. And as you know, we go down here to the Family Search link. And there we are. And I'm going to sign in. This is the same thing that you should all become experts at this now. And once we get signed in, you can see the typical customized home page with lots of interesting, fun things about your ancestors. And again, we're going to get to that. You can poke around a little bit if you want, but we're going to have a whole session on that page and what you can learn there. But we want to now do exactly what we've done before. We want to go to Family, Tree. We want to go to Tree. And so this is something that should be familiar to you. I'm going to go back to a fan chart of 5 generations, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And that should be familiar because here I am in the middle, and you would be in the middle, and then it goes out 5 generations. And again, you can move this around if you want, or you can make it bigger, and those are things we've already talked about. There's actually several types of trees. The fan chart is the one that many people like because it shows our family in a tree, which is in a fan going back, which is how our mind thinks about it. But there are some other trees that we want to look at. So if you go over here to this little area here where it says fan chart, and it's got a menu tab, this little thing here, fan chart, that actually gives us different types of trees. So if you go up in here and hit the menu, I'm going to go to landscape. This is a landscape tree. Now, many of you will notice that this is the traditional pedigree chart. Now, we call it a pedigree chart because we didn't make it up. We didn't, the genealogists didn't come up with this. We borrowed this from 18th century cattle breeders in England. And we just, that's the way they kept track of the pedigree of their cattle, and so we just used it for genealogy. And if you see this, you'll see that it's a little bit like a fan chart. Here I am with my wife, and here are my children, my mother and father and grandchildren. And I can go to any one of these and click on the arrow, and that will expand that back another couple of generations. And I can just keep doing that. I can just keep going back further and further and further, and sometimes, you know, you can get lost because you can't keep it all on one screen. Or if I want to go back, I hit it and it retracts it back. But this is just a landscape way. Now again, here, you may remember that on my mother's side, we looked at my grandfather, Isaac Elmer Brimhall. He's right at Brockbank. He's right there. So I can click on him and he will come up, and then I can look on his data just like we did before. And then if I go back and hit tree view, it's going to put him back where we started here. And but it puts him in the middle of the tree. So anyway, this is a landscape view. And if I get lost on this and I want to go back, all I have to do is go to Recent, go to Myself, and hit Tree View. And there we are looking at landscape. I can keep clicking these arrows to the right and go back as far as there are people there. The only thing to remember is that at some point it gets pretty small, and it's easy to kind of lose your way. But there are many places where this is very helpful. And you'll notice here, if you have a husband and wife and you go right below and hit children, it will expand. Trying to get that to work. It will expand all their children. And this again is the same information, it's just programmed and shown you in a different way. So let's now take a look at a different type of tree. We're going to now look at a portrait tree. Now a portrait tree does the same thing, except it goes vertical instead of horizontal. And so now you can see that I'm here are my children, parents, grandparents, and there's Isaac Elmer Brockbank again, and so this is another very interesting way of looking at it. Now, I'd like to point out a couple of things on this tree. I'm gonna bring this down here, and I'm gonna go and expand this one up. I'm not finding what I want there, so I'm going to go over and try it here. There are occasionally, you will find little icons at the bottom. This little icon here, this blue one, simply says if you click on that, it says that there are some hints, there's some records that the church has found, FamilySearch has found about that person that might give you more information. So if you get to that person and not everything is there, these are some records that have been found that you can click on and see if it's records about that person and if you can add those records to their sources. We're going to get into that later. You don't have to worry about it now, but you can see that that's what that little blue symbol is. Now over here, you're going to see a symbol that looks like a temple. And that just basically says that there is certain information that needs to be provided for temple work to be done, and you'll find those spread throughout here. And those are little places where you can go and look for things that will help you get people ready for the temple. Now, I'd like to take a look at one other type of very, very interesting chart. So let's go now to my Isaac Elmer Brockbank again, and we're going to double click on him. And we're going to open his information up. And one of the things that you can do, and you can do this no matter how far back, is you can go here and hit My Relationship. And if you hit My Relationship, it will show you how you're related to him. So you can see that I'm here, my mother's here, and Grandpa Brockbank is right there. Now, you can do that even though it may go back 10 generations, or it may be cousins. But when I now want to see Isaac Elmer in tree view, I click here. And he's now in the portrait view, you can see right here. And if I want to view his, not ancestors, but his descendants, then I can go over here, click on this, and hit Descendancy View. That's a descendancy tree. And so here you can see that here is my grandfather, his spouse, and these 8 daughters, and his previous wife, and the one daughter there. They had a stillborn son. And so these are descendancy charts, and I can view those up to 4 generations. And so now you start to look in here, and you can see that here I am, and here's Linda, and here's our children. And so if you go back far enough and you were to pick an ancestor that was back maybe 5, 6 or 7 generations, and you were to click on their descendancy chart, you'll be able to see 7 generations. And this is where, when later, we're going to show you that you can find a lot of really, really neat stuff here to get people's names ready for the temple. So the basic trees that we look at is, we have a fan chart tree. Isaac Brockbank is there in the fan chart. We have a landscape tree. which you can see, and this can be expanded back. And we have a portrait tree, vertical, and as we just showed you, we have a descendancy tree, and you can use 1, 2, or 3, 4 generations. Now, this is kind of fun, and we'd like you to just this time go and pick an ancestor and play around with these different trees and click on things and move them back and forth and just get familiar with all these different trees. Each one is useful for doing different things, and you will only learn that if you play with them and have some fun with them. Now, I'm going to now show you one other thing that I'd like you to know, and that is I would like to go to churchofjesuschrist.org. And so if I go up here, you can see that this is the church website, and I am already logged in. So I have my account here, and you're familiar with this, and you use the same login credentials you do with FamilySearch. But anyway, I'm going to go down here to Ward Directory and Map. Seems to me that it didn't want to do that, so I'm going to try it again. Okay, Ward Directory and Map, Diamond Valley Ward, see it right here. I'm going to go to Organization, and I'm going to go to Temple and Family History. And in there, you're going to find a list of all of the family history consultants in the ward. And these are people that you can go to get help as you're going through these exercises. So if you have a question, you say, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, then you can go to one of these people and click on their name, it'll give you their phone number, and you can just say, look, I'm going through the videos and I'm kind of stuck, and can you help me on this? And you'll be able to see those resources if you go to churchofjesuschrist.org. Okay, well, thank you very much. That's our number 3 video, A Forest Full of Trees. And we hope that you've done the 1 and 2, and now you're going to start expanding your ability to use FamilySearch by simply taking an ancestor and viewing that ancestor in a variety of tree formats. And as you get familiar with that, then that will create another building block on which we can proceed. So the very best to you, and as we say, happy hunting as you search through the forest of these trees and find your ancestors and become familiar with FamilySearch.